This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1125, and it's the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, he's back, Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
What's good?
And just down the road there, our managing editor, downtown, Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Marty is on assignment this week, so he'll be missing.
Okay.
Guys, it feels like months since we've spoken because I missed a week. I rarely miss a week, and it feels like, it's been a while
not
since
rarely.
we caught up.
Hold on, rarely. I was doing the math, dude. I've missed it. I've been on sabbaticals, whatever. I cannot think of any episode you've missed since you joined the show from Virginia. You had a little 3-month break in like 2008, but have you missed an episode?
I don't think so.
You call in from family vacations. You've had the flu. You've had COVID. You did it. I mean,
I called in one morning from like 4:30 in the morning in LA one morning at
I remember
a hotel.
that one.
Yeah, so it was extraordinary.
And I will say this. It was the best episodes I've ever heard last week. Ratings through the roof. I appreciate you guys having me back out of sympathy.
It was weird because I, for 15 years, 18 years, I'm on autopilot with certain introductions and segues and whatever. And there was a few times it was like, oh, it's time for slices. What do you have, Jesse? What do you have, Emily? It was very strange. It was, Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'm delighted to be back. And it was a very busy week. I had some family stuff going on unexpectedly. It was a memorial service for a family member on our normal recording day. Then we're going to punt it to the next day. But I had a trip to Busch Gardens because they do Christmas Town up there planned.
Busch Gardens.
And
Pretty serious.
Busch Gardens,
We got
Williamsburg,
booted for Busch Gardens?
Listen, we bought Chris. Okay. In Virginia, Busch Gardens Williamsburg is a big deal. This is what we got. Okay. Like there isn't Disney or Six Flags. We have Busch Gardens. Okay. And it's
question.
in Colonial Williamsburg.
It's Colonial Williamsburg, Busch Gardens. So the Busch Gardens we have in Florida is safari themed and things like that.
Not ours.
Is it like themed like old timey 1700s? Like people are churning butter and stuff at that Busch Gardens?
It's themed like, I would say, like turn of the century, like 18th to 19th century Europe. So you go from country to country. So like you
Epcot?
go to like, but more Colonial Williamsburg-alized and more Budweiser. Like there's Clydesdales and stuff. You know what I mean?
Got it.
So a colonial Epcot.
So you go to like old-timey Germany, and then you go to old-timey Italy, and then you go to old-timey France. It's fun. I've been going there since I'm a kid. But here's the revelation I had going to Busch Gardens because I have my son's 10 and we went with 2 other families, and all the kids and most of the adults want to go on all the roller coasters. Because I'll say this about Busch Gardens. You may not like kind of like the corny, thematic areas of the park or whatever, which is fair. Like I said, this is a park owned by Anheuser-Busch. So it's a lot of beer themed stuff. There's a beer train. There's, like I said, the Clydesdales are a big part.
Why did the tune for Love Train just pop in my head, but the word beer replaced love? It's the beer train.
It's not that dissimilar. But I will say this. Busch Gardens has like world-class roller coasters.
Oh, yeah.
And they build like a new one every year.
Yeah.
I've made, and everyone wanted to go. Okay. But I ate a giant dinner. I had the sausage sampler at the Fest House in Germany. Okay. So I got a belly full of sausage. All right. And everyone wants to afterward go on. And mind you, this is amusement park sausages. Okay.
Also, you get motion sick in certain.
So more
cars.
questionable than normal sausage.
It was not the safest choice because it's like 6 different amusement park sausages, and I was starving, so I wolfed it down. So I got a belly full of sausage and some German, vinegarized
sausage. Yeah,
theme park sausage
Quotes
with some like
sausage,
pickled.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like whatever like pickled vegetables they eat in Germany. And I ate a giant plate of it.
Oh gosh.
And they all want to go on like roller coasters called like Alpengeist and Pantheon and Verbolten. Here's what I've realized, guys. roller coasters these days, they go way too fast, man. Like these things, like Cameron and I went to space camp years ago, and we went on all that stuff that like astronauts train on. Dude, these roller coasters, they strap you to the seat, and it is like, I mean, you are bolted into this thing. Yeah. And it is a rocket ship, like 0 to 75 miles an hour instantly. And it just doesn't stop. You're whipping around. You don't even know what's happening. Like it's going so fast. You're not seeing anything. There's no suspense. It is just like 3, 2, and whipping and spinning and corkscrewing and flipping. Who's enjoying this? It's way too fast.
I just figured out the line between youth and old people. That if you enjoy the roller coaster, you literally just said the roller coasters go too fast. There's nothing to enjoy. That's not true.
I've been old for a long time. Then I've been old. I've been old since I was like 13.
Derek, you get it.
Because there was never a time that I could think that just getting on a contraption that spent me in circles at 70 miles per hour just was never appealing.
But at least in old school roller coasters, there was the click, 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 like, you know, and then it kind of had little areas where you pause and you're like basically old school roller coasters. You're like on like a train with like a bar across your waist and you're just kind of going fast. And these things are like hydraulic powered. Yeah. You can't even see what's happening. Like all it is your head is thrown back into the seat. My thing is, make roller coasters great again, guys. Like, give me one of those rickety. I want one of those rickety wooden ones.
Is this a platform for the common sense party?
I want one of those rickety old ones.
No,
you know, where the biggest fear isn't like I'm going to have neurological damage, because those were real thrills. Those are.
There has to be a happy medium, because I don't want to be thinking that it's going to collapse on me, but I do agree I don't want it to be too fast.
Hear me out. The thrills on modern roller coasters not going to break. You feel like scientists made this thing. Okay, you feel like this was engineered by Space Force.
I do think engineers did help make roller coasters. I do want to put that out there. I think that's a thing.
I really hope so. It's not just some carnies that just was like, yo, let's just.
It's funny you say that, Derek. It's funny you say that, because here's the thing: when I'm on like Busch Gardens like Pantheon, which is you can look at it online. The thrill is like what it's doing to the human body. Just, you know, this kind of like throw me back against the seat. When I'm on an old carny and I know they're going to be out of town the next morning, like rain or shine. Yeah. If there's an accident tonight, these guys are gone, never seeing them again. These people are living off the book, right? They're off the grid. The thrill is real. Like the thrill is I'm going to be maimed or die.
When you crest that, you're like, that's a thrill. This may be a plummet. Yeah, exactly.
That's a thrill. Like every little creek, which there are a lot, it's probably breaking. It's breaking 10% more every ride.
That's not a thrill. That's playing with your life is what that is.
We have a little
it's
kind
way
of
more fun
mini, like a theme park called Fun Spot. That's not a theme park. It's kind of like a permanent carnival, I guess. And they have like go-karts and they have roller coasters, and they're trying to like add. And it's the old school model of like, you don't pay entry, you buy tickets for each individual ride, you know? So they added an old wooden roller coaster. They have the modern ones, you know, the flying around. They added I went on it last year with Cohen. It's not as enjoyable as you remember, just in the sense of like how rough it is. Like, I think we've forgotten, like the roller coasters now are so smooth. We've forgotten that it's like literally like you're bouncing and your spine is just getting shattered. The entire ride is just every little lumber.
Stay on the
you
ground,
go
guys. How about that? Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah,
stay on the ground.
There was.
Well, I don't know, because then you got to be with all the questionable sausages. Because like, what else are you doing if you're not?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Rides?
The questionable. But Emily, listen, the questionable sausages were fine in a vacuum, in a questionable sausage vacuum.
Were they really? Just think about it.
It wasn't it wasn't until I tested them at 80 mile an hour flips that I came to like when I was just sitting there in the moments after, I was like, again,
maybe
this is
it was more
food.
The questionable sausage finally was digesting, and your body was like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't have ate that."
Trust me, it wasn't digesting. It was my whole system was upended. It stopped
shutting
functioning
down
properly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jesse, you're not alone in your love for wooden classic roller coasters. We had a theme park here in Central Florida called Boardwalk and Baseball back in the 80s. And it was
That's
like
awesome.
it was baseball themed and roller coaster themed, old boardwalks. And they had
American
the world's
classics.
largest wooden roller coaster. And I remember as a little kid going on this thing, huge, terrifying, whatever, big roller coaster. Anyway, Boardwalk and Baseball shuts down and they have to sell off all the rides. Who buys the world's largest wooden roller coaster? Michael Jackson. And he installed it at his Neverland Ranch. So he and Macaulay Culkin could go ride it.
Chill out, bro. Chill out, Cameron.
He loved that roller coaster. It's true.
Chill out, Cameron.
Can I be
bro.
honest?
You're doing too much
It's
right
true,
now.
man.
You gotta chill out.
Listen, there's a lot.
You got to
there's a lot
have things to
unpack.
attract the little boys to
chill
your
out.
property.
Chill out.
And
Delete.
you
Listen.
get the world's largest.
Delete.
Listen, there's a lot to unpack with that story, but I just want to say, I feel like it's far
You and Michael
safer.
Jackson love wooden roller coasters. That's all I'm saying.
It's far safer in my mind. I don't see how it's not safer just to build a wooden roller coaster from scratch than try to disassemble and reassemble one.
And move it across the country. It's so weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just lumber. It's just lumber at that point.
Do y'all remember like the wooden playgrounds that were like huge in like the 90s and stuff?
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like I
have
never see them
splinters.
anymore.
Because
Like
of
they tore them all
splinters.
down. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple splinters, it's fine. Like it builds
Well, no,
character. I love wooden playgrounds.
because the ones now are all like plastic and metal, right? I mean, so that's like
And ugly.
indestructible, and the wood ones rot and splinter, and it's liability issues. So it makes sense.
Listen, if we can make a wooden roller coaster, I think we should be able to.
We're not making
engineer
more
a
wooden
wooden
roller
playground.
coasters. People are
we're
risking
not.
their life on old wooden roller coasters.
That's a thrill.
Not people, Jesse. Be
We're
specific.
not making no more.
But what, Derek? That's my point. That's a real thrill. That's
No,
you
it's not
survive
a real
something.
thrill.
This isn't like
Yeah, in the gift shop after the rides where it says like, I survived the cyclone. You actually survived. This is something to comment. Yeah.
because they have a list of people who didn't survive too. That's how you know it's a good coaster.
Oh.
It's like you make one side of that list. So.
Sheesh.
It is interesting here in Orlando. Like every once in a while, you'll see the news where like somebody got decapitated on a roller coaster at one of the theme parks. Like,
Bro, why? Like that's the thing. I'm like, bro, going fast is not that important. That I could risk decapitation.
Surviving is important.
Like,
no, every time somebody dies, it's because they were probably drunk, but they got out of the thing. Like in the middle of the ride, they climbed out of it and they were trying to do a stunt, and then wham, they get whacked with a beam. You know what I mean? Like people riding like normal.
My goodness.
Well, that's not true. People riding like normal also have flown off. You know those spinny things
Well, that's
that
not
goes
true.
like up in the air?
Now that I think about it, normal people get thrown off of roller coasters too. Like,
Yeah.
bro.
Well, it's not a roller coaster. It also,
I'm out.
dude, it made the news that like the spinny chair things they hang by the chains and then they whatever. We have the world's tallest one on an iDrive, and it was open for like 2 months, and it goes up like 400 feet, like you're spinning on a chair, and then it comes back down. Anyway, turns out. Tragic story. High school football player kid. He was very large, like 300-400
I remember
pounds.
that story.
They didn't strap him in right because he was too large for the seat, and he goes out and he flung off. He like flew to his death, like slingshot.
Yeah, I remember it.
And this is tragic.
They said his friend said he looked at him like, "Tell my mama I love her."
Ah,
Yeah, it was sad.
And like his parents found out on the news.
Oh my goodness.
I'd sue everyone.
Dude,
I
they
feel
did.
like
They shut it down for 2 years because
Good.
they were in lawsuits, and now it's back open again. So if you want to go, try it out.
I would start a new lawsuit every year.
Okay.
Here's how I compare it. Like roller coaster technology is a lot like shopping cart technology. It's either you're going totally old school with like the one that is like the metal just woven basket and four wheels that all have a mind of their own with that little plastic handle that'll pinch you up when it gets a little too the screws get a little too loose. Or you get these new bougie ones that are looks like red Ferraris. And it's like, no, give me the old rickety one. I want to hear someone coming down the aisle.
Why do you want the rickety one? Why would you not like the one?
I love the new shopping carts.
I'm like this. They're so smooth, and I don't. Jesse, you're interesting, bro.
Jesse, you are officially an 80-year-old man.
No, it's no.
You're just eating your sausages, complaining about all these newfangled rides the kids have today.
To put quotes around sausage.
Look, it keeps me honest in the grocery store because I want to be lugging this thing around for minimal time. Like those new ones, it's so satisfying just glided across that tile, that freshly mopped tile floor. I want the one that pushing it through. You get carpal tunnel pushing it through the parking lot because your hands are rattling. Trying to get to the parking spot. That they keep you honest. At the
worst, in my opinion, the worst shopping carts are at Costco because all four wheels are completely independent. Whereas like normal shopping carts, the back two wheels are fixed and the front two turn. Costco, all four of them turn. It's like you're on ice the entire time.
Software engineering, guys.
That's what I'm saying. And at Costco, you're loaded down with heavy stuff. That's the point of it. And it's like
they're trying to get you in and out. They don't want you clogging up the aisles with their bougie, well,
they should make it easier
carts.
to move their carts. Their carts are tough to move. Anyway, whatever. All right. Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to one of my heroes, Bob Goff. We talk about a lot. He's full of wisdom. But we talk about focusing on the important things in this season. Also, how to live less distracted. It's a good conversation. Don't miss it. At the end of the show, we have your feedback. But stay tuned. Right now, up next, Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Switchfoot. The song is California Christmas. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Okay, it's time for Relevant Buzz. Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is a new documentary coming out next year called God and Country, and it's all about Christian nationalism. Woo!
Like for or against?
Well, let's play a trailer real quick so you can hear it.
We should be blazing forth as a countercultural example, and instead, we're leading the charge of malice and division.
Christian nationalism uses Christianity as a means to an end, that end being some form of authoritarianism.
Being a Christian is about the values of inclusion. Christian nationalism is certainly not based on the values of the gospel.
God wants America to be saved.
They're told over and over and over again that you're in danger.
You need to fight if you don't want to lose your country.
We are in a civil war between good and evil.
This is not a movement about Christian values. This is about Christian power.
What happens to the people who don't believe this stuff?
Obviously, it is against Christian nationalism. It is a movie about sort of the rise of Christian nationalism and the impact that it's had both on America and Christianity in general. It's directed by a man named Dan Portland. And there's another name I want to talk about attached to the film, which is Rob Reiner. He's signed on as an executive producer for the film.
It came out that it was a Rob Reiner project. And if Rob Reiner was doing a Christian nationalism documentary exposing the seedy underbelly, and we're like, what? And then it'd find out, no, actually, it was a producer who used to be an executive at PureFlix. And, and then now at the 11th hour, they brought him Rob Reiner to help with money. So, anyway, so it's not really a Rob Reiner project the way it was initially kind of presented, but it still is interesting nonetheless that he even associated himself with a project that was pretty much finished, so.
I saw the trailer going around quite a bit on Twitter in the last week or so, and dude, was kind of following some of the dialogue that was happening around it. The thing that I kind of find most interesting isn't necessarily the topic, even though I do think the topic is interesting. It's how defensive I feel like both sides of the dialogue have seemed to be when, like, it seems like, look, what's the problem with having discourse about, a controversial issue? Like, why should anyone be offended that a documentary that seems to be primarily concerned with talking to experts or subject matter experts, like, why is that inherently offensive to, or if it was a documentary looking at like more liberal leaning,
deconstruction of faith.
Exactly. From a critical lens,
right.
Like, why would that make someone who defends like the deconstruction process or maybe kind of more liberal areas of evangelicalism? Why is the default posture defensiveness, not like engagement? Like, oh, cool. Yeah. If good ideas are good ideas, let's interrogate them and kind of see where things shake out. That was more interesting to me of like, guys, who cares? Like, we should be able to live in a culture where people who make art and films and think about things can have sort of a critical response to cultural trends without the subject of those cultural trends being, dismissive or defensive, instead of being like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like I said, if we believe we're right, then interrogate the ideas all you want. That was kind of, but you see it on both sides,
To me, the problem I have, well, I don't have a problem. I haven't seen this, but to me, the problem I have with like the gotcha kind of documentaries, the Michael Moore, like, I'm going to expose you kind of approach, is you're preaching to your own choir, because like, if you're wanting to open eyes and change minds about the problems with this worldview, Christian nationalism, things like that, and then I look at your trailer and you're just interviewing people who, have one perspective on it, if I have a different perspective, if I'm a viewer that has a different perspective, I'm not going to watch it because I know your bias. And if I agree with you, I probably won't watch it because I already agree with you. So to me, it's just like, how can you, talk about things like faith and politics actually is a gray area. Now, Christian nationalism at the extreme is not, but, how should politics infuse your faith, and how should your faith infuse politics? That is a gray area. So when I look at the clips and stuff and sound bites in this trailer, I'm just like, all right, I know where you're coming from. And on both sides of the issue don't need to watch it. To me, I don't know.
But not everyone. But I feel like there are fair voice, like Russell Moore's in there, David French is in there, some very fair-minded individuals.
All right, I'm trying to understand because I'm slow. So what is Christian nationalism? It's the idea that like,
this is a Christian nation, and all the laws of this nation should be from a Christian values. So like God founded this nation to be a Christian nation. Therefore, all laws, all citizens need to follow the laws of God, and God is the moral authority over our country. And so it's not democracy of thought and equality of thought. It's does this law line up with the values of the Bible or not? And so we need to legislate our faith, legislate our Bible, put those moral boundaries on our society. That's Christian nationalism, essentially.
I think it's also
that's what I thought it was. Okay, go ahead, Jesse. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that's all accurate, but I would also say, just like anything, there's somewhat of a spectrum, right? Where there are people who think Christian nationalism is Christian values should inform legislative policy on sort of the kind of more centrist end of the spectrum. But then on the further end of the spectrum, it's, this is a theocracy that should be ruled strictly by Christian principles. If you are unchristian, we will enforce this by any means necessary, including potential violence. Right. So, like, it's I'm not saying everyone who
there's the extremes, right? Like, there's the extreme atheist and the extreme Christian nationalist. Like, so we get it, right?
So I would I think Christian nationalism is a slippery slope that's highly problematic. I understand maybe at the genesis of it, the desire for Christians to have their voice and values be heard in the legislative space, and we should participate in politics and all that kind of stuff. I would have appreciated, and again, I haven't seen this documentary. I would appreciate though, like if there was a fair-minded kind of third rail, middle ground faith mindset that isn't the extreme on the left or the right. Where's the conversation that's going to cut through the noise and actually have both sides consider it and watch it?
But I think that's
because I don't need to watch you.
I think that's the thing with media.
That's propaganda.
I'm sorry, but I think that that's not propaganda. That's just media in a sense, because everybody brings their own biases to whatever they build. Like even Relevant has Cameron's bias, and it's just a blessing that Cameron's bias isn't ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But we all of us are going to have our biases
to you,
to it.
But maybe to other people it is, right?
Exactly,
yeah.
right. So like, I think that this is just a discourse that we're on when you deal with media. Like it's very rare that you're going to see something that is balanced at all in any sort of media. It's unfortunate.
See, the thing that I always tried to do with the magazine was to stretch you. I wanted to put people in the issue, because in the body of Christ, it's many streams but one river, in my opinion.
Right.
And there's things that we can all agree on. There's things that we're all going to disagree on. And I'm kind of, and the sad thing is we all think that our stream is right.
Exactly.
100% right. And y'all's are 100% wrong. And to me, that's just ludicrous. And so intentionally in every issue of the magazine for 20 years, we would have things that we would pull from the different streams. So we would have voices and people, teachers represented that, and you were like, oh, I love so-and-so. And then you'd flip the page and maybe there'd be a conversation with somebody you don't know because they're from a different stream, and we're talking about something, or maybe you heard about that person. No, I thought they were a heretic, but we had an intentional conversation with them about the things we can maybe agree on. So maybe like I see Judah Smith in the issue and I'm like, woohoo. And then I flip the page and there's a conversation with Brian McLaren, who I disagree with on a lot of his theology, but then he would talk about spiritual formation and prayer and contemplation and things that like were challenging and good and I can adopt. And now all of a sudden we have an area of common ground. The Venn diagram just overlapped. And now it's unifying with bridges of understanding people who were in different areas that I would lob grenades at or point at and say, oh, no, they're whatever. It's like, well, no, I know that we don't disagree on everything because I read this conversation Relevant. I'm trying to cut through the noise of what you just talked about. I hate the current media dynamic. It really shifted in 2016. I won't get into why, but like after 2016, there was like no room for nuance. There's no room for like, maybe I'll set down my biases and listen to your perspective and maybe learn something, maybe stretch, maybe have a little more empathy than I did. There's no room for that anymore, and it kills me. So when I see a documentary like this, which is correctly calling out a societal problem, in my opinion, I'm kind of like, I wish you would have drawn more people into the conversation by not being so clear with your bias up front.
I got you.
But I will say this too. Here's the other challenge with the idea of balance, especially with modern political discourse, because like some people's perception of balance comes down to like the old like equal time deal, where it's like talk to this side this amount of time, talk to this side. But really, balance.
I like that era of media.
I do too, but I also feel like the idea of balance has shifted to equal opportunity, not equal time. And what I mean by that is like holding both sides to the same standard. So if you have one side that's advocating violence, right, then you can't act like another side that maybe has some minor legislative scandal. You can't act like that. Well, I covered the people advocating violence, so I now have to cover this minor little scandal because it's from another political perspective. There has to be a balance in the standard that what constitutes coverage. And that's where it gets murky, in my opinion, because oftentimes those don't balance out. Like, does that make sense? Like, not all sort of grievance or concern has equal moral weight. And that's, I think the moral weight should be where the balance is, not necessarily in the time given to particular voices. But again, it gets murky. It's a very tough needle to thread.
Yes,
I think another important thing to remember too is we've seen a 2-minute trailer of the whole film. Right. So it's like kind of the equivalent of, I read the headline, so I know what the article says. And it's like, we can probably make theories about what they're going to talk about and what the experts are going to say. But we could be pleasantly surprised by what some of these experts say and like the fair coverage they give. I do get your point of like, depending on who it is, we probably know which way they're going to lean. But I noticed the discourse too online, like you were talking about, Jesse, and it did really surprise me how opinionated people were about something that they had never seen.
Right. Oh, that
kind of just came into their life.
That's 2020. That's 2023. That is just, honestly, I think it's just more prevalent. We see it clearer because we all are interconnected in such a crazy way. But humans have always been that way. Like we take a headline, we run off with it, and we get opinionated about what we believe something is, as opposed to what something actually is. That's why I believe the Bible says, and all you're getting, get an understanding. I mean, it's clear that during that time, it was the same wrestles, the same issues. Only thing I would say with the Christian nationalism thing, maybe the reason why they didn't go grab any people that felt, because what you said about Christian nationalism sounded more balanced than when I think Christian nationalism, what I think. So if
you're thinking protests and riots,
you see what I'm saying? So in my mind, it would be the equivalent of us doing a discourse on race and then inviting a Klan member in and saying, all right, now you tell your side of it. You know what I mean? So if you look at Christian nationalism as that level of extreme, it would be hard for you to bring in a Klans member to talk about, let's talk about race today. You see what I'm saying?
That is a great point.
Yeah, so
that is a great point.
That's probably
I would never give platform to somebody on that far of an extreme.
And because I think if you were to rewind post 2016, you would look at a voice like Russell Moore, who is, a major leader in, at that time, the Southern Baptist Convention, as someone who probably aligns with, in his views about the role that Christianity should play in all avenues of life, as someone who would have quote unquote, sort of like Christian nationalist belief, that they believe that their Christian values should inform. Like he is and was relatively conservative. It hasn't been that he's changed. It's the line of what
a Christian nationalist has changed. It's went from because when that's why I was confused when you were like, there should be both sides, because in my mind I'm like, well, why? But then also, that's why I needed your definition so I could understand, because your definition of what Christian nationalism is doesn't line up with, I think, the average person if you asked them what a Christian, and the reason I gave you that credence because I know your character, so I wanted you to be able to speak. But now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, if I'm doing a documentary on that way, they probably are like, because the line has been crazy, like. That we have pushed that thing to a whole other, like if somebody says, yo, this is a Christian nation, I would love to hear why they believe that, and let's sit down and have a conversation about it. But when you see Christian nationalists, all you think is January 6th, like for the most part.
But like if I'm making a documentary to a mainstream audience, a Rob Reiner audience about Christian nationalism, those outsiders to this movement don't understand the movement. It looks foreign to them, like the KKK. It's like, what? How could anybody see the world that way? If I'm that filmmaker, I want somebody to come in and explain the moderate version of Christian nationalism to then I can understand how the slippery slope took it to an extreme place, but it started at a moderate place. So now because right now I can't even wrap my head around that movement if I'm not part of it, right? It's like, why would anybody see the world that way? That's crazy. Well, how did it start? That maybe wasn't as crazy, and it just became crazy in the last 10 years. I don't know. So again, I'll be interested to see how they handle it. Maybe they do that narrative. Maybe Russell Moore helps navigate that journey for the viewer. I don't know. But I know
they spoke to a few historians and journalists. So again, depending on who it is and what their coverage is, maybe they did give, like you said, that context. I do agree is important.
So when, Derek, you heard me saying, I wish there wasn't just such an obvious bias in it, even though I'm against Christian nationalism. I wish there was something more nuanced. You heard it through the lens of like, this is almost like a KKK documentary.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying, I wish we could have a more nuanced discussion about the KKK.
Exactly.
No, that is not what I was saying.
Exactly. Like that.
Thank you for asking me about that.
Hold on, wait a second. I'm trying to see what's going on here. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I appreciate you. Hey, if what I said confused you, it confused some listeners. So no. That is not what I was saying.
I'm trying to overlap the Venn diagram. I was like, but the thing is, that's the thing about now. We are in such a very sensationalist season that honestly, what you just said about him going and the word Christian nationalist is the equivalent of an extreme racist, biased, bigoted group. You don't go and you don't give that any favor, regardless of how it started, or you're going to get destroyed. Even if it's factual, you know what I mean? Even if it's factual, you're going to get destroyed because we are in such a very sensitive time. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably why. I mean, I'm thinking if I'm doing a documentary on it, I'm like, man, I want to leverage my relationship and platform and the ability. I don't want to get canceled in a sense. It's just that, because that's what happens. One thing you say, hey, let's look at this in a factual way, and then now everybody just wants to kill you. You know, it's just unfortunate.
This is totally random, and I'm going to derail the entire segment here. But
do it.
It's too funny not to. I should say, Emily, I should find you the clip, but I like to follow, like, I'm a very passive Twitter user, right? I'm just interested in the dialogue happening around faith. And I tend to gravitate towards, look, it's how the algorithms are set up, like the more extreme sides. And so I kind of follow. There's a pastor who I think is just completely outrageous and has wild ideas and would probably considers himself a Christian nationalist. This guy, Greg Locke, but for some reason, news about him will show up in my Twitter feed.
Is Greg Locke the guy in Tennessee?
Nashville.
Oh yeah,
the tent guy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is I also follow like a lot of like weird conspiracy stuff, mostly out of entertainment value, not because I legitimately, but because I'm just rawly entertained by it. So I follow a lot of flat Earth accounts.
If the authorities saw your Twitter feed, they would be very alarmed. You'd be flagged in the system.
I'm probably being monitored as we speak. They're probably listening on this. So maybe this will give them...
You're like, no, I'm a journalist. I'm watching as a journalist. No.
Well, I'm not even watching as a journalist. I'm watching because I think it's hilarious. Because I like funny things. But anyway, I also saw, because I follow a lot of stuff, that he was hosting a Christian flat earther at his church. And they were going to have a debate on Sunday, on a Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man. And they were going to live stream it. So I was like, dude, I might cancel my like the premise of this is such in the crosshairs of things that I just find like inappropriately hilarious.
It's a car wreck on the side of the road. I've got to see this. I got to slow down.
And like literally, if I had plans that night that I couldn't cancel, like especially if I told my friends like, hey, sorry, I can't come to your progressive dinner because I'm watching Greg Locke debate a flat earther on Twitter. That would not fly. But I did. So this is real talk. We go to church on Sunday morning, and I always park. It's in a big building. Anyway, I drop my family off, and I go park the car. But I remembered as I dropped them off at a few minutes, we were early that morning. We took some neighbor kids, they had to get signed up for Sunday school. Anyway, I had a few minutes in the car, and I was like, dude, I wonder if there's just any. It had gone off. They deleted the live stream because Greg Locke and the Flat Earther got in a shouting match on stage, and it ended with Greg Locke yelling, "Turn his mic off! Turn his mic off! The globe is a sphere! The globe is a sphere!" And the guy throws his mic. And this is in front of a congregation full of people.
Yeah, I know.
And the Flat Earther throws his mic.
It's amazing.
It was it's one of my favorite clips. And
he stormed out. They cut off his mic. He threw it, and the guy walks off the stage in the middle of the event.
There's top five things. When I say top five things, I could mean like. I could mean like the Red Sox winning the World Series, like some historical inaugural address,
landing on the moon.
That I could be physically present for and just be in the room because I love awkwardness and I love tension.
Oh, dude,
that would be one. I would be front row, fist pumping and cheering, and it would be like I'd be at a WWE match. Dude, it is
Jesse,
phenomenal.
I saw it being advertised and I genuinely thought like I could go to this if I wanted to because it's close to where I live.
I would have.
I really, but I was like, I actually don't think I want to be seen at this flat earth.
No.
debate.
The authorities were there taking pictures of the crowd. You know what I'm saying? You're getting added to a database. Yeah.
This is amazing. I'm going to watch this when we get off of here.
Yeah, let's play it right now. Here it is. We found it on YouTube. Here it is.
No,
this is nonsense.
You came up with your scriptures and gave your interpretation of them. I gave mine.
I gave you the Bible interpretation.
I gave you the Bible. I gave more Bible than you did, for a fact, right there. All right.
Oh, really?
That's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about in your rebuttal, I'll keep my mouth shut and you tell me how wrong I was about your misapplication of the ring stamping in Job chapter 38.
First of all,
hello, is it sunrise or not?
Not at all. I don't agree with you.
Turn his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. That is ridiculous. Bible denier. Just get out. Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up with this nonsense no more. I gave you our platform. And y'all want to get up here with a bunch of nonsense. Come up here, band. Let's worship the Lord. We're going to actually do something spiritual in this room tonight.
Okay, that's as bad as you described it. It was amazing.
This to me is far more interesting than Christian nationalism. Just a documentary about this event. I would not even Flat Earth, just one about this event. That like the before, the during, and the aftermath.
The problem with this event was a guy on the stage participating had the power to yell, cut his mic off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I've seen the debates between like creationists and evolutionists that a church might host, but they both were guests. And so nobody's got control over the other one on the stage.
Well, that's what made it more fun.
That's what I'm saying. This went off the rails because Greg Locke got worked up and put his foot down.
I will say that. I'll say this too.
Is it because Greg Locke was losing? That's the thing. Or were you getting smoked by a flat earther in your own church? Like, that's the question.
Dude, he was. I watched because I went back after that morning in the church parking lot. Yeah. Like that afternoon, I was like, I got to get full context.
Yeah.
And I feel like, look, man, here's the deal, right? If you're a flat earther, and especially one, because they don't even, don't ask how I know all this. They don't even call themselves flat earthers in that movie. They call themselves biblical cosmologists because they believe that their opinion is biblical, right? And they have scriptures that mention like the firmament.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I know them scriptures. I was a flat earther for a season for sure. Now I don't even care.
Or the corners of the corners of the earth, right? Like, they have like, they can biblically defend and they look up like the Greek or like the Hebrew text and all that stuff. So you could tell Greg Locke was getting flustered up there to the point where I'm turning his mic off, and it divulged into like a screaming match. But
the kid who's losing the neighborhood pickup game was like, "I'm going to take my ball and go home." That was Greg Locke, and he stormed off.
Game at his house.
Yeah.
He's getting cooked at his crib.
It's his ball. It's his ball. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, give me my ball back. Go home. Now take your. But what it's done is totally predictable. Now on all these flat Earth accounts, they're sharing the clip, and they call him a globist. Oh my God. So not a globalist, not a globalist, not like someone who's a globist. Like globist pastor melts down. Just the whole thing has been a delight to follow for the last week and a half.
We need a documentary
pure
on
delight
that.
For me.
Like, how like there's documentaries where like it's like a band's farewell show or like a comeback show, and it's like the documentary of the process leading up to it, and it culminates at the big event. Like that's what they should have been doing a documentary about this event.
This would have been like a Christopher Guest movie.
Yes.
Anyway,
the
Jared, what were you saying?
I have for y'all, and man, we've been on this for a minute, but the question I have for y'all is:
good.
Has humanity been this crazy, or has technology just revealed our crazy? I don't know the answer to that, but me and my friends have been talking about this all week. It's like, did something break collectively, and then, or has it been like it's always been this way, but we've been so insulated because we can't talk to everybody that now we just get to see humanity in its butt naked form?
I think it's the latter, and here's why. Like, just imagine like pre-internet, right? Everyone had a couple of people in their family that at the Thanksgiving table, had some crazy views and would tell anyone who listened, right? Imagine if that person had a microphone and could shout over the Thanksgiving table during the whole dinner. That's what social media algorithms do. They intentionally propel voices that garner the most reaction, because that's what people are attracted to, whether positive or negative. It's not that I would think the average member of the population is probably a pretty rational person, but the most irrational voices get the highest soapbox, and it draws more people to them. But I don't think at their core, people have gotten crazier.
Well, the silent majority has always been the case, right? But I don't know that it's a nature versus nurture conversation. It's like, is humanity always been like this? Is this how we are? Or did our environment or our access to information or whatever nurture this trait in us? Yes, I agree with you, Jesse, that the algorithm amplifies the most extreme voices. But 20 years ago, your uncle, who might have had a proclivity toward conspiracy thoughts, wouldn't have had access to learn about or hear about or get sucked into very many conspiracies, other than maybe like the school board conspiracy in his local town, whatever. Now he has access to 4chan and all these crazy places, and he can go deep. And now that has changed him. It changed his mind. He goes further. He's crazier now. So I think the environment that we are in, the access we have to information as well, has made things worse than they were in the past. It's not just everybody's been crazy and now they just have a microphone. It's like, I think we're hearing things and we're being affected by things that we wouldn't have been affected by without social media and YouTube.
So think about this.
So I think it's a both and.
Think about this. 2016, we're 7 years away. We're almost a decade away from where we say was kind of like the tipping point, right? So they're kids that heard Crazy Uncle 7 years ago, and they've been for 7 years indoctrinated at impressionable ages without, because we know this. It takes an expert. Everybody. It takes an expert as well to filter through what's true and what isn't true on the internet. Because, like you said, popularity doesn't always add up to truth. Yeah. Like, there's people that's popular that are spewing things that we know unequivocally this is wrong, right? But they're popular and they're able to, they're great, they have great charisma, so they're able to stay in that seat of power and convince people to their side. So I don't know. I'm still on I feel what you're saying too. At the same time, though, maybe those voices are just really, really, really loud, and people are more, just engaged, but they're not necessarily being influenced, right? So the question is, are they being influenced? I think is the big question.
I mean, I think we can see with certain political movements that what would have been a normal suburban soccer mom now is out there at a rally with conspiracy theory T-shirts and like really believing
waiting on JFK Jr.
children being trafficked this way. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think she got sucked into it. Maybe she had a proclivity to it, but she wouldn't have access to any of that 10 years ago, 20.
But to be fair, is it like, even before social media, there was mass media where a handful of voices controlled. And this is me trying to, to a degree play devil's advocate, but like, there were large media institutions that largely dictated what people believed about certain events, right? They were the only kind of expert voices. So if you look at it from the other side to say, well, what if I can point to X, Y, and Z of them lying and causing the masses to believe lies? What's wrong with me questioning the quote unquote truth? Yeah. Exactly. So like, to be fair to the other side, there are examples of that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so, it's tough.
It's a slippery slope. Like, it starts with a couple of things of like logical and moral holes where you say, hey, that's not right. We're being fed a line. And then you just start to now not trust anything you're hearing. And now it's slippery slope.
And then you put an accelerant on it, something like a mass pandemic, where the facts of the origins of the treatment, of prevention methods, right? are constantly change as understanding about it shifts, and it creates, that's just an accelerant to both sides where this kind of distrust of either the collective voice or the voice of authority,
the Illuminati.
If you have skepticism of either, you're going to be more deeply entrenched,
True. All right. We really got to wrap this up. So Emily, the last two things super fast. Tell us what else is going on and let's get out of this in 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, sort of going along that line, Meta is introducing a fact-checking system to Threads, an in-house one. The reason this is big is because right now they've been using a third-party one, and we saw how the 2016 and 2020 presidential election spread a lot of misinformation. So they're trying to get ahead of it for the 2024 election, which, yes, next year is an election year, in case anyone didn't realize it. I can't believe that we're here again.
The Threads is getting ready. So we found this really interesting because X obviously...
Are people still on Threads?
Well, they're still trying to make it a thing.
Well, here's the thing. Is like they keep making it better and better and better. They keep adding features and forming communities and hashtags and whatever. It was very bare bones when they launched it. I think they rushed it because they saw a little opportunity for people wanting to leave, Twitter. But it wasn't ready. It was half baked, but they keep baking it and it's gotten really good. And this is just yet another thing where they are trying to make a very starkly different community than what's happening over on X, which is, a cesspool now. Now Threads is going, hey, listen, you come here, we have human fact checking teams. We're going to have these things in place. To protect the discourse, whatever. And we think that that's maybe a great example that we should not forget about, that there is an alternative. There are alternatives emerging to what is happening over on X. So,
and I think it's good because so many people get their information from social media, and with truly the death of Twitter happening, a lot of people are like, well, where do I get information? And they don't know they can just go to a news site. But if they don't know that, they can go to Threads, which hopefully is doing their job to
I only
spread disinformation.
The only thing I ever do on X is basketball. I follow basketball people and comedians. That's all I do. That's it. It's fun. Really sick of these ads that they're putting everywhere. But other than that, it's decent content.
Annoying.
Well, guess what? I didn't like Threads because there was no basketball coverage over there. They just started NBA Threads last week, and there's all these, Woj, and everybody's now over on Threads, and teams are going over Threads, and I'm getting my basketball stuff, my fix over on Threads now. So I have gone on Twitter less and less over the last couple of weeks. I'm enjoying that. Anyway, all right, what's the last thing? Let's wrap it up.
Last thing, have y'all heard the new Nicki Minaj collaboration with Tasha Cobbs Leonard?
She has a new one?
Yeah, she has a new one. So last Friday, Nicki dropped...
This is say running it back. All right, let's get it. Okay.
Yeah. They dropped it last Friday. So Nicki put out Pink Friday 2, which was like the sequel to her big debut album. It's gotten some mixed reviews from the Barbs, and that's all I'm going to say on it because the Barbs scare me. But I do want to talk about her song with Tasha, which is called Blessings, which we have right here.
When it heals me, my cup runneth over, it ain't never ending.
Yeah, and like we said, it's the second time they've collaborated, but always interesting to get a Tasha and Nicki Minaj song.
I think it's funny because the first collab was on Tasha Cobbs Leonard album, and it's like a worshipy gospel album. And I was listening to it on the way to church with Cohen a few months ago, and all of a sudden, Nicki Minaj comes and drops a verse. Which even thematically had nothing to do with the song. It was just a typical Nicki Minaj verse, just crammed in the middle of a Tasha Cobbs Leonard album.
Well, not a typical Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, not typical, but it was a cleaned up version. But it was supposed to be about faith in Jesus, and all she was talking about is, this one's the opposite. This is the Nicki album, and Tasha comes in and is on the song Blessing. So there you go. We'd love to see it. Okay, that'll do it for
Relevant Buzz.
Stay tuned. Up next, Bob Goff joins us.
I was hoping I could say, baby, won't you come my way, and stay with me till Christmas Day.
You're listening to Forrest Frank. The song is Till Christmas Day. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth. Creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Where our guest today is none other than Bob Goff. He's an author, he's a former lawyer, if Jesus and Santa Claus combined somehow, that's who he is. With the busy holiday season in full swing, we know how difficult it can be to focus on what's really important this time of year. So we want to talk to him to figure out how we can live a less distracted life and how we can always have hope and optimism in every season. Here's our conversation. Bob Goff.
Well, during this year, I think a lot of people can just feel really overwhelmed thinking about their busy schedule and, doing all these little last minute tasks. And it just leaves us feeling really distracted or unfocused on the things that we actually want to think about during this time of year. Do you have any tips on how we can be less distracted during this season?
Yeah, first you got to catch up to where you were. This is what I mean. We've got a place up in Canada, 10,000 square miles to our nearest neighbor. It's in the bush. And so we'll be gone for a day or a week or with all the crazy that's happened, like a year. And before we leave, the last thing we do, we take a plastic cup, we fill it with water and freeze it. We put a penny on top and we put it back in the freezer. And then when we come back a week or a month or 6 months later, if the penny's on the bottom and it's frozen, you know what happened when you were gone. It thawed out, right? You think you're getting a T-bone, you're actually getting a toxin. And so what I want us to do is figure out what happened while you were gone. So if this period of time with COVID was so difficult for so many, to say when I kind of checked out emotionally or even physically from colleagues, what happened while I was gone? To really not just say, oh yeah, everything's great. There's actually more to that. So not be in a hurry all the time to just get to the next thing, to slow it down a little bit. And again, I make coffee nervous. I'm like, I'm always on the move. But I'm trying to just slow it down a little bit and say, when I just kind of checked out of a relationship or I checked out of something that was causing me a lot of stress, what happened while I was gone? Because I just want to kind of check back in on that. Say, what's up? If the penny's at the bottom, just say, what happened? And then figure that out and just say, is there a way I can recreate something more beautiful out of that? Is this a remodel or a tear down? And then just figure out what's your next move. What's the next courageous move? And always moving towards authenticity. So if you're fun, and I am fun, you can trend towards being the fun guy. And what I want to trend towards is being the authentic guy. You have to be self-aware to know what's going on. What did I miss when I stopped impressing people by whatever, insert here, whatever you think is impressive. And then just get real and just actually show up, not as a caricature of yourself, but actually as yourself.
I think someone could hear your response and immediately think, well, that sounds great, but you don't know my life because I have 2 jobs or 3 kids or, whatever you want to fill the blank in with. What do you say to the person who has been feeling distracted with every area of life?
Yeah, I would say first, well done. It sounds like you've taken a deep dive, if you have, and you realize your circumstance, or at least your perceived circumstance. Like, so, but I would say, can you dig a little bit deeper? I want to be a more archaeologist than observer. I want to say, hey, well, I wonder why, and what would be some things that might free you up from that thing? What are some stories you made up about what is true in your life, and are they? Is it actually true? Is it an actual impediment, or is it a perceived impediment? Gravity is an actual impediment. Like, you can't jump to the moon. Well, you could, but most people can't jump to the moon. There's this thing called gravity. It's just a thing. But a perceived impediment is that I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough whatever. And indeed, you might not. You may be spot on. And if you are, well done. Like, you've really done some deep. But if you're flying over that thing like a U-2 spy plane and just say, I'm just way too busy. This isn't possible for me. I would just say, can we go a little bit more crop duster? Can we get down over the weeds a little bit and see, like, look a little bit closer and say, you know, I know that's the messaging I've given to myself. And is it really true? And maybe the answer is it's really true. But what I found is some of the things I was certain of weren't actually true. I thought they were certain of because it had been 100% of my experience, but it actually wasn't true in my life. And so I'm not saying to that person, hey, you're wrong, just be happy, have some cotton candy and it'll be all ready. Everything's going to be great. But instead, I would say just take a hard look. And sometimes that involves bringing in a counselor, a trusted friend at Starbucks who will pay. Find somebody safe people in your life to just say, man, I'm feeling all alone right now. The fact is that you're not all alone because I am here. Here I am. But to just say, but that feeling could be very real. And to say, when was the last time you didn't feel alone? Like, if you lose your keys, you think, where was the last place I saw those things? So if you're feeling hopeless, just say, when was the last time I felt hopeful? And I would just go return to the scene of the crime. I would just say, like, what was it that made the change between then and now? And just kind of retrace your steps. And then, again, if you need some help in doing that, there's some really great people that have initials behind their name. I'm not one of them, but to find people that are actually really good at that. If there's some trauma that you've experienced, like, man, there's so many resources that are out there, and say, but I can't afford it. I'm like, I don't know, I'd make the call. Maybe you can, because the world is full of people who are really generous.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's such a graceful way to approach life and just think about the world that we're in. As we're reflecting on this year, I did want to ask you, this year has had its fair share of high and low points. And I'm curious, as someone who's been all over the world working with different causes, is it ever difficult for you to maintain your sense of hope and optimism? Because it seems like, in spite of all the things that you've seen firsthand, you haven't become cynical or angry like other people have.
Oh, I love that you talked about that idea of cynicism, because a new cynic will say, like, Southwest Airlines, yeah, whatever, or they'll roll their eyes and say, it'll never work. That's new cynic. But the old cynics, those guys were bosses. They lived actually apart from society a little bit. They made their own clothes. I have a friend, I think we both know him. He makes his own clothes and it looks like it. And so what I want to do is be like old school cynic. A guy, Diogenes, was one of the founders of cynicism, and he lived in a jar. Is that crazy? A big water jar. It was huge. And he would walk through Athens every day with a lantern at high noon, and the lantern was lit. And they'd be like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? And they said, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for virtue. And so what I want to do when I think about the difficulties and the setbacks that other people have experienced, and loved ones and people that you care for in other countries and across the street, I just want to look for virtue in there, but not just like yippee skippy, like skipping over the pain of that, but to say, is there, can I focus a little bit more on my character and a little bit less on my career? Can I focus on some things that will outlast me? The definition of faith that resonates with me is in Hebrews 11:1. It says, faith is confidence in what you're hoping for and assurance of what you haven't seen yet. And so what I want to do is know what I'm hoping for. as I do like kind of a roll call in these different countries. What am I hoping for will happen in Mogadishu? What am happen there? And then to say, is there something I can do to move the needle in that? Is it a call? Is it a visit? Is it a whatever? And to just say, be strategic. But it's strategic whimsy. Like, it's not just all whimsy. It's not just all strategy. It's to look anticipating that you're going to find some new stuff about yourself. You'll find out more about your faith, if faith is guiding your steps. You'll find more about a couple friends that you bring along. But living with that kind of anticipation, I think, gets me like not mired in the sadness of things that are going on. And I mean, I got gears. I've tried death penalty cases against witch doctors. I've got gears. But there's a kind of a no-fly zone over hurting kids. But there ought to be like a no-fly zone over many things. And to say, well, if it's something that's important to me, what could I do to be a participant rather than an observer? And you can't participate in everything, but you can participate in something. So just find your thing to say, is there a way to on-ramp that to see, do I have an ambition to help somebody out in these ways? Then do I have an opportunity? Think of it like a x-axis and y-axis, and where the x and the y meet, where the ambition and the opportunity meet, take the shot. Like, do it. Buy the ticket, make the pie, like whatever it is, just say, but if your head's on a swivel looking for the opportunity, then you won't be distracted by all the crazy things that's trying to steal you away from the moment. Because I'm telling you this, I don't see the devil around every corner, but if I was all of evil, I wouldn't want to destroy you, because that'd be one and done. I'd want to distract you, because then I'd get your Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And then if you're distracted, everybody you love is distracted, because they're distracted about how distracted you are and all the wacky things you're doing to deal with your like insecurities. I want to do this Jedi thing over everybody and say, you are not the average of the 3 most insecure people you know right now. So you don't need to average out all of their insecurities. That's a distraction.
That was Bob Goff. Make sure to go check out all of his books, follow him on social, go to one of his seminars, go visit the Oaks. There's so much the guy is doing that will impact your life. Check it out. All right, stay tuned. Up next, your feedback. You're listening to Grant Perez. The song is When Christmas Comes Again. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's Soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week, we asked you, we were talking about Christmas music because we debuted our annual tradition, a very relevant Christmas playlist over on Spotify. And it started last week with 350 songs and now has 450 songs on it. If you haven't gone subscribed, go look it up on Spotify. It's great. 450 songs. It's the only soundtrack you need for the season. Anyway, it got us talking about Christmas music, and we asked you what your least favorite Christmas songs of all time are. You hit us up over on X at Relevant Podcast and other places where we posted this question as well. Here's our favorites. Anthony Reese says he can't stand Justin Bieber's Mistletoe song, and he says, unfortunately, my girlfriend loves it. Here's a clip.
I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you, shawty with you, shawty with you.
Okay, here's Anthony. I feel your pain because there was no Justin Bieber on A Very Relevant Christmas, but our very own Downtown Emily Brown said, we need to have mistletoe. We need to add it. And I said, okay, ironically, I'll stick it in the middle of there. So there is that song on A Very Relevant Christmas, but we put it on there.
Unironically.
Totally ironically, but your girlfriend won't know it. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan.
Let's see. I'm going with Rebecca Clark. She said, I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. It was too much for me to handle as a kid and also as an adult. And I heard that song one time. And I never heard it again because I feel the exact same way. It's very
It seems
strange.
relatively wholesome.
No, it's not. It's totally wholesome. Daddy's dressed up as Santa Claus and he's doing the presents on the tree, and she kisses him.
But like when you're a kid and you still believe in Santa, it is a lot.
You think mom's having an affair? You think mom's cheating on
mom cheating on dad with Santa?
That's a fair point.
That is a fair point.
Lindsay Chow said, do they know it's Christmas? It has to be the dumbest song. Of course they know. Why else would they be singing? That is a very fair point. Like,
good job, Lindsay.
Are you making fun of me? If there's decorations everywhere. We're singing A Christmas Carol as we speak. Of course I know.
Aaron said his number one answer is Christmas shoes. I actually didn't know this song existed, thankfully, for a really long time. And then
you lived a blessed life.
I think my first Christmas working at Relevant, someone mentioned it because we were talking about bad songs. Yeah. I am shocked it ever got made.
It is the worst Christmas song. Here it is.
Daddy says there's not much time. You see, she's been sick for quite a while, and I know these shoes will make her smile. One or two look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight.
Dude, the whole song is about this little kid is trying to buy a pair of shoes for his mom for Christmas because she's dying of cancer.
Oh my!
The whole song is just totally sad.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! That's
like
heavy.
Mommy's dying. She always wanted those shoes. I save up to go get the shoes, and then she died.
It really brings the mood down.
That's a rough one.
It's like, no, thank you. Yeah. Well, congratulations, baby Jesus. Enjoy your birthday. All right. There's more where that came from. Go check it out over on Relevant Podcast account. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
Okay, this is, you see, dear listener, you think you know what we're going to do right now. You think, it's leading up, it's Christmas week. Like, they're going to ask us another, like, what's your favorite present? No, that's not what we want to know from you. Jesse told the story at the beginning of this show of going on a roller coaster after eating questionable sausages. That was the dumbest meal decision he could have done because of his proclivity for motion sickness from time to time.
It was a sampler.
We want to know, for this week's question of the week, what is the most questionable meal you've ever eaten? The most questionable food you've ever eaten? Hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, or you could hit us up at Relevant Magazine on Twitter.
I got a few.
Questionable meals.
I got a few. Most questionable is chitlins.
Oh, yeah.
That's the most questionable meal anyone on the planet could eat.
There's a lot of Southern food that you don't want to think about the ingredients. That's one of them. I had gator once. It wasn't bad. It was chewy.
Yeah, gator's good. like
not
a
good.
gamey chicken.
Yeah. Chewy
chicken is just that's crazy.
Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank my hero, Bob Goff, for joining us. Like I said, make sure to check out his books. Hey, maybe give one for a Christmas gift or something. Change a life this holiday season. And follow him on socials and all the other stuff he's doing. Also, before we wrap it up, make sure to check out our very relevant Christmas Spotify playlist. We updated it. We do this every year. This year, 450 songs. Basically, it's your background music for the next week and a half. Go check it out. Very relevant Christmas over on Spotify. Also, make sure to visit relevantmagazine.com every weekday where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up with this nonsense.
Relevant Podcast Network.